WGBW News, your news roundup in quick podcast form. You can find it anywhere at the WGBW website, wgbw.fm. For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. It may seem a bit warmer today, but Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, it will be dangerously cold again, with highs barely above zero. Keep an eye on those pipes to make sure that they don't freeze and burst. Meteorologist Brittany Merlot has some tips for us.
One mistake people make is not having the heat high enough in your house. The thermostat needs to be set in the mid-60s at least, and even when you're not home. Crews during the past cold snap are running at full capacity with pipes already breaking. So, it's important to be prepared. Close gaps around doors and windows. Don't let drafts in. Experts suggest pipe insulation or foam. And let small drops of water drip from your faucet. It helps reduce the pressure and helps prevent freezing pipes. And if you do wind up with a frozen pipe, shut the water off and thaw it out. Space heaters are efficient, but it's important to use them safely and to make sure that they're monitored and away from flammable materials.
The Wisconsin Office of Children's Mental Health has released new data showing a majority of teens in the state have been affected by mental health issues. According to their data, the number of kids and teens that have experienced depression has risen by 42% over the last decade, particularly in girls and teens who identify as LGBTQ. Officials also say that while the number of mental health professionals in schools has increased in recent years, the total number is still below recommended levels, especially in more rural areas. WGBW has an e-newsletter that comes out twice a week, and it is filled with stories you care about from the greater Green Bay area. Subscribe today at WGBW.fm. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.fm.
The Packers fire a coach. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with Sports NFL. Although the Packers' defense improved the past year, there's been criticism they didn't put enough pressure on quarterbacks. Defensive line coach Jason Rebovich fired after 3 years in Green Bay. Meanwhile, defensive back Jair Alexander has missed nearly half the games the past 2 seasons due to injury. GM Brian Gutekunst asked, will Jair be back?
We're at the beginning stages of just kind of gathering information as a whole, before we start looking at next year and how we're going to lay this thing out.
And Bob Uecker has died after a 2-year battle with lung cancer. Uecker would have been 91 next Saturday.
He beat pancreatic cancer, which nobody beats. But he had another cancer now, and he did the job right to the end, which is extraordinary. And I kept trying to tell him to slow down, Kurt. There were days he would go have radiation treatment, then come to the ballpark and broadcast the game. It's unbelievable.
That's Brewers owner Mark Antanasio with Sports on Mike Clemens.
This is your local civic media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a few flurries, along the low teens, windy with wind chills below zero. Partly sunny for tomorrow, high upper teens, wind chills near 5 below. Partly cloudy Sunday, high near 5, wind chill to 20 below. It's 42 right now.
Matt Nair on air.
Robotaxis made by Zoox are slated to hit the streets of California later on this year. Rides will initially be free for people who agree to test it out. You go first.
Wait, have you ever wanted to drive in a 4-person casket with no driver?
My biggest sticking point about this is the name. Zoox is a cartoon character.
Yeah. Do you think when he just driving is going
Awooga.
Matt Nair on air. Weekdays 10 till noon on your local civic media radio station and on the app. The Todd Alba Show.
What's worse, fast drivers or slow drivers? Karina listening on WAUK in Milwaukee.
Slow drivers are the worst. They think too slow. They stop in the middle of the highway to think about where they're going. Maybe they need to turn left and right. They changing lines for oh my God, I can do all day long.
Karina,
yes,
can you tell us what you really think?
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local civic media radio station and on the app.
Did you know that art is actually good for you? We'll tell you all about it on the next New Wisco Weekend. I'm Lisa Hale.
I'm Terry Barr. From your health to our economy, how art impacts you.
One, two, 1, 2, 3.
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Night Light with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy whose house has an actual wiggle room, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome to Nightlight, Wisconsin. So great to have you here. It is Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Rejoice. Let's make this a fantastic show. Last night, we called it the Christmas Eve of weekdays, Thursday, because it's the eve as we head into the weekend. Now it's here. Most of you are already done with work. I hope you had a great day, and wherever you're joining us from in Wisconsin, as we are broadcasting statewide, it is great to have you here. We are broadcasting live from downtown, beautiful downtown Green Bay. How's it going there, Conrad?
You know, it was nice today, wasn't it?
It wasn't too bad. I was
Did you go
outside
for a walk?
once. I didn't even get a walk in. No, I was pretty lazy today. I'm doing everything Sherry Stoka told us not to do the other day. I'm like going to give up food groups, and I'm going to start walking and working out again on Monday. I know I'm like the textbook way for not to get back in shape and get back on a program, but I will do it. And when I do, I'm pretty good about sticking with it, but it's the starting. It's getting over the hump.
Yes. Yeah.
And
that's always tough.
Yeah, and I don't know that Monday is the best day to start an outdoor program. We've got a polar vortex. You can't be year-round shorts guy anymore in that kind of weather, or can you?
No, I did wear pants today.
You're gonna pant it up. All right. You're gonna wear some longs. I love it. Hey, great show tonight for you guys. Hope we find a way here to help you ease into the weekend. Lots going on. This is a really great, as cold as it's getting or going to be, this is a great winter weekend because there's so much good stuff in the theaters right now. Very well-reviewed films that have done well at the box office, Oscar-nominated films. Just really fantastic stuff in the theaters. You got Nosferatu, A Complete Unknown, The Fire Inside, Moana 2 is still there. We've still got Wicked at our local theater. Lots of really good stuff. And then you've got playoff football happening this weekend with some great games. You got Baltimore and Buffalo on Sunday. I think it's Sunday, right, Con? Yeah.
And update on it. They just got a bunch of snow in Buffalo.
Really?
So what I just saw, the field is covered in snow right now.
I'm sure by Sunday they'll probably get rid of that, or
unless it just keeps snowing.
Make it playable. Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't know if you remember last year when it was Kansas City and they played in the coldest game, pretty much. That would be another fun division.
It would. You know what, though? Here's my issue with, I feel like the snow is wasted. I love when I'm watching a game on TV and the snow just comes pouring down. That's great.
Yes.
But not for Baltimore and Buffalo, because they both have mobile. But I want to watch Lamar Jackson run. I don't want him to be like on ice skates out there. And Josh Allen, too. Josh Allen's very mobile, loves to run. And there's just like those two guys just display like pure artistry when they play football. So, but that's a good game. You've got the Rams and Detroit. I'm sorry. The Rams and who are the Rams playing?
No, that's correct.
They play Detroit. Yeah.
It's Jared Goff and Matt Stafford again.
Who does Washington play? I'm totally confused.
Who do they play again? They play the
I
Eagles.
thought Washington played. Oh, okay, that's another
Eagles,
good game.
Yes, both sides.
Yeah.
Chiefs play the Texans. It's going to be some good playoff football.
Look at that. You got movies, you got football, there's basketball out there. There's a great little thing happening in Kenosha next weekend, actually, that we'll talk about with our guest Meredith Comisco, who will be here at 7:05. So I'm sure there are outdoor activities. You might want to get out and experience some of those because, like we said, it is supposed to get cold. So if there's some outdoor festival or activity happening this weekend, I would pounce. Great show tonight. Mike Clemens joins me at 6:35. We're going to talk Packers and Bob Uecker. Mike sent some great audio. We'll play that. Mike is always a blast to talk to and keeps us informed. He is Civic Media's sports authority, and we'll have a good time with Mike at 6:35. And then, as I mentioned, Meredith Comisco is going to join us to talk about Snow Days, a really cool festival happening next weekend in Kenosha. If you're looking for a fun outdoor festival with really cool ice sculptures, this is the one you got to check out. Yeah, I don't know. Where are you at on ice sculptures, Conrad?
I think it's unbelievable how you can. I don't even know where you'd start, like myself. So just an artist to actually be able to do it is really cool.
It is really cool. And do you ever feel bad like when someone has such an incredible talent? And I'm not saying this with ice sculptures, but like when someone has such an amazing talent and you recognize it, but you don't really care. Like, and I'm not saying this about ice sculpture. Like an ice sculpture, I would look at and I would recognize, but like every once in a while you encounter someone who has this incredible talent, and you're just like, that's so great. And I respect that, but I don't want to hear anymore. Does that make me a bad guy?
Give me an example. Can you give me an example?
Let's say I could knit quilts and I'm great at it. And I told you this. And then I went into a demonstration. Would you be like, oh, dear God?
I think I'd zone out.
Please stop. Yeah, I appreciate this. I think you're great using your God-given talents, but I don't need to hear anymore. And I don't know what made me think of that because ice sculptures are really cool. But I felt like I don't think I would, if I was walking through a festival with ice sculptures, I don't think I would give them the attention they deserve because it's like what they do is so difficult.
Yeah.
It feels like people should study it for half an hour and ask questions, but I bet they don't. I bet people just walk right through. But we'll ask Meredith that because she is the expert. She is the marketing director for Visit Kenosha, right, Conrad? Is what it's called.
Yes.
Yeah. So Meredith will be fun to talk to. I love festivals like that, especially winter. You have to do something to get you through winter. And if you've got people flooding a downtown area, promoting community, it's just great. So we'll talk to Meredith at 7:05. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we resume Bar Band Friday night. Tonight, we get back on track. Terry Barr joins us. She took some time off at the holidays. She is back in force with music from Janet Planet and Isaiah and the Real... Wait, I got to get this right because I don't... Is it Isaiah and the Real People?
Yeah.
I have it right in front of me. The Isaiah and the New People. I had it written right in front of you. Here I'm scrambling.
Great music from them.
Love their music. It's going to be so much fun. And Terry will be back. Can't wait to talk to Terry. I honestly have not, pardon me, I don't think I've talked to Terry since before the holidays, other than like a message here and there. And we go antiquing every weekend. But other than that, I haven't talked.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I wish I was included in that.
We'll give you, you'll get the next text. Don't worry about it. Got some fun big releases. No, we got birthdays today. Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
A titan in show business turned 63 today. James Earl Jones. I noticed on the sheet you added that name and it says James Early Jones. Just tell me I'm celebrating the right person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoops.
James Earl Jones. And then a big time movie dropped today in 2003. Conrad, you know what I'm talking about.
A Guy Thing.
A Guy Thing. Co-written by yours truly, Pete Schwaba. If you haven't checked out A Guy Thing, it was made by MGM. My writing partner Greg and I sold the script in 1998 or 99. I can't even remember, but it came out in 2003, which, believe it or not, was fast tracked. It only took them 4 years to get the movie to the big screen, and that was considered fast tracking. And that blew my mind. But the film came out. It did okay. They took some stuff out of it that we weren't happy with, but it was a good experience. And Guy Thing, you'll get some laughs if you check it out. It stars Jason Lee, Julia Stiles, Selma Blair, some great cameos in the film. But that dropped today, and I didn't even know that. Conrad alerted me to that, and it's exciting. It's just so weird when you sell something. Like, you sell it to a big studio, they go, great, here's a really nice paycheck, we'll give you a rewrite, and then they want you to go away. And it's kind of a weird, you're not really involved in the filmmaking process. But it's fun. It's fun to sell a script. I'm not complaining, but it's not quite as fulfilling as people might think. Hey, did we miss hot and spicy food day yesterday?
We did.
Damn. I like spicy food, but more than eating it, I like talking about spicy food.
Okay.
I feel like we missed kind of an opportunity there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like in the middle with spicy food. Like, I can handle some stuff, but when it gets too hot, I just go into a blank face. And
I think what you need to do, and I don't mean to, I'm not, it's your life, but I think you got to wear the shorts during a polar vortex and then eat spicy food. I think the hot and cold might take you into a new universe. Hey, you know what time it is, Conrad? It's time for our question of the night.
Let's talk about the question.
Okay, question.
Question.
Pregunta.
Question.
Question.
Okay, I have a question. Questions?
This question.
Domanda.
Question.
Questions.
What drives you more crazy? Slow or fast drivers? And if you are a Civic Media regular, folks, you've heard all about this from the Todd Alba show. We've been playing that great clip from Todd's show, the promo, where Todd talks to the caller who can't stand the drivers. And we just decided that's too great not to use. So thank you to Todd Alba. What's worse, slow drivers or fast drivers? I'm going to say fast drivers. I drive every day back and forth to Green Bay, almost every day. And your life is more at stake when you have D-bag fast drivers. So slow drivers drive me crazy, but fast drivers are out of control, terrible, horrible human beings.
When they ride your ass, I just can't stand it, you know?
Correct.
Especially when you're going more than the speed limit and they're still riding your tail. It's like,
right.
Okay, go to the other lane. You don't have to ride me this whole way, you know?
Exactly. So you would say fast as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I sometimes the Sunday drivers going on a 30-mile-per-hour road and they're going 20 irritates me a little bit, but I still won't ride them really close, you know?
I don't either, because the way I feel, and I do catch myself if I'm in a hurry, and I don't really notice slow drivers unless I'm in a hurry. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God. I live in a town where there's a lot of older people. We have a lot of those kind of drivers. But I know it's someone's grandma or student driver, someone's daughter. I don't want to make nervous. Definitely fast drivers are worse, in my opinion. Conrad agrees. What do you think? 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Let us know. What's worse, slow drivers or fast drivers? Thank you to Todd Alba for the question. Text us on the app. Text us on the stream. Just text us and be part of the show. When we come back, we're going to talk about our new sponsor. What else, Conrad?
Well, we're going to talk a little Jim Carrey, maybe a clip.
Jim Carrey. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Pete Schwaba, Nightlight, and the Civic Media Radio Network.
.9 WGBW and WGBW.FM.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. Native American voters prevailed in federal court against the state of North Dakota, protecting the ability to elect the candidate of their choice. January 13th, the U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear a redistricting case we covered back in May 2024, affirming a North Dakota federal appeals court decision. The appeals court had dismissed a state house district challenge by two non-native residents who claimed their rights were infringed. The case dates back to 2021, when the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara nations, also known as the MHA Nation, negotiated with the state to protect native voting power under the 1965 Voting Rights Act, Section 2. After an agreement, state GOP officials later shamefully reversed positions in 2022, embracing a new GOP tactic which argues such majority-minority districts are a violation of the Equal Protection Clause under the U.S. Constitution. The same argument has been made in Robinson versus Calais over Louisiana's now two majority-minority districts. The MHA Nation decision protects North Dakota State House District 4A and three other districts. Great news for Native voters. But the Louisiana case is expected to be heard in the High Court in early 2025, and the conservative justices seem to have made it their mission to dismantle the VRA. We have links to the history of the case at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org. I'm Brian Beal.
No more mold, no more damage, no more slipping and hurting. Make your ordinary bathroom extraordinary for only $99 per month. New shower, new door, new tub, new wall, new anti-slip technology. BCI Bath & Shower is made in America for the highest quality. First 50 callers save $1,500 on a never clear glass treated door. BCI Bath & Shower. Interest-free financing options. 800-329-4150.
Welcome back. Our question of the night is, what drives you more crazy, slow or fast drivers? Conrad and I both say fast drivers just from a danger aspect, but let us know what you think. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC, or text us on the app. Really fun show tonight. Mike Clemens will be here in a few minutes to talk Bobby Euchre and the Packers. Mike is always a blast. We talk about a great event in downtown Kenosha called Snow Days next week with marketing director for Visit Kenosha, Meredith Comisco at 7:05. And then it's a bar band Friday night. Terry Barr will be here at 7:35 as well. Tons of fun on Night Light tonight. Great to have you with me. This is exciting. We have a new sponsor. I'm very excited to welcome to the airwaves, to Night Light. Norm Kopecky was on the show a few months ago, and we had a great chat about cigars. Norm is a great guy. He owns a company called Appleton Cigar right in downtown Appleton at 415 College. Check it out. A great little place. Norm is now a sponsor of Nightlight, and it's great to have him on board. And Appleton Cigar is a great place. They have cocktails that they will match to the cigar you choose. I think that's really cool. They have over 700 cigars to choose from, a great humidor. Check it out. A beautiful atmosphere. Great to have Appleton Cigar on board with Nightlight. So Conrad, I wanted to tell you, we asked people earlier in the week. We were very close to getting 600 follows on social media. I've always kind of felt weird asking people to like or follow stuff. I've never been good at promoting myself and that kind of thing, but we did it and we hit our goals. We crushed 600 followers and we're getting close to 300 likes. I think we're about 2 away, if I'm not mistaken. So if you do happen to be on social media, folks, give us a like or a follow. Conrad will send you $1 out of his allowance.
Well,
and didn't we not talk about that? I'm sorry.
50 cents. We'll call it 50 cents.
Hey, listen, that's good. That's not bad for just clicking like.
Okay,
you can
1
do a lot
cent.
worse.
Sorry, 1 cent. Sorry.
1 cent. All right, now you're just goofing off. So it's Jim Carrey's birthday today, a comedy titan, ladies and gentlemen, and one of the stars of Dumb and Dumber. Do we have a Carrey clip handy? I would love to play some Jim Carrey right now. It's Friday night.
Yeah. Well, this is, I'd say, my second favorite Jim Carrey movie, and I've seen it so many times, and it's just great. It's the Cable Guy when he first drops by. It's so funny. So here it is.
Okay, here we go.
One thing, I have this friend, and he gave his cable guy $50, and then he got all the movie channels for free. Did you ever hear of anything like that?
You mean illegal cable?
Yeah.
Who told you that? What is his name? I want it.
Oh, forget it.
You're offering me a bribe. What you have just done is illegal. And in this state, if convicted, you could be fined up to $5,000 or spend 6 months in a correctional facility.
Oh, please. No, that was dumb. I was just making conversation. Forget it.
I'm just jerking your chin. You are too easy. Wake up, little snoozy. Smell the smelling salt. I'll juice you up.
I don't know. Like I would immediately go to Dumb and Dumber. I forget about Cable Guy.
It's so great.
I also love the scene where he's playing the bathroom attendant, and Owen Wilson walks in and calls him Stretch. He goes, "Hey, Stretch," and then Jim Carrey just starts wailing on him. Yeah, it's a movie you forget about. It's a great film.
When he plays a pickup basketball game with Jack Black.
Yep.
He jumps on Jack's back to dunk it.
What else do we have? Do we have any more Carrey?
Yeah, so we've played some Dumb and Dumber clips, but I don't think we've played this one. It's when they're on the bike.
The mini bike?
That great song is on in the
I love that. Let's do that clip. All right, here's another clip on Jim Carrey's birthday from Dumb and Dumber.
Got room for one more if you still want to go to Aspen.
Where did you find that?
Some kid back in town traded the van for it, straight up. I can get 70 miles to the gallon on this hog.
You know, Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself!
Still want to go to Aspen?
Oh, yeah! Okay, let's go, buddy!
Lloyd, no, west! Go west, Lloyd!
That song is by the Gigolo Ants. It is a great song. And there's a line in the song, I love it. And the sacred moments of silliness are where I find my heaven. And the song is called Where I Find My Heaven. It's a great song. But that scene is so great. They go out of their way. I can't imagine anybody hasn't seen Dumb and Dumber, but if you haven't, they go out of their way. One of them says 1/5 in the wrong direction, a 1/5 of the country. And then they have this moment and they almost do it again. Just gold. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I forgot. I have look at this, Conrad. Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
You see
There
the
it is.
poster?
Yeah.
Can you tell what it is?
And you forgot about that. It was released today.
Well, I mean, look, it was, it did okay at the box office. It didn't get great reviews. They kind of chopped it up. It was sort of one of those things where the other writers were brought in. Good writers. One who wrote on Ted Lasso and Modern Family, and another who wrote on Scrubs. Good guys too. But you got their sensibilities, ours, the director. It just is it's a shame of what can happen when there's too many cooks, especially with comedy. Most of the successful comedies have a writer-director or a writer who is in sync with the director. Guy Thing did not have that. The script we sold made us really popular at the time, and it was a good experience overall. But check out A Guy Thing. There's some good laughs in it. Coming up next, Mike Clemens, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about Uke and the Packers. Lots of fun tonight. Great to have you with me. It's Pete Schwaba and Nite Lite on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Here comes my baby. Here she comes now. And it comes as no surprise to me with another guy. Here comes my baby. Here she comes now. Walking with a love that's so, so fine. Never to be mine, no matter how I try. You'll never walk alone. And you're forever talking on the phone.
This is the talk of Green Bay, WGBW. Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. Residents should get vaccinated against respiratory viruses. That from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services after announcing its first pediatric influenza-associated death in the state for the 2024-25 season. According to the press release, cases of respiratory viruses like RSV and the flu are high across the state this winter, and health officials are encouraging everyone 6 months of age and older to get vaccinated against the highly contagious diseases. Vaccination can help prevent the spread of the illness and reduce the severity of symptoms if infected. Over 100 workers with the Orbis Corporation will be out of a job when the company consolidates its Menasha operations with a new facility in Greenville, Texas. The company filed a WARN notice with the Department of Workforce Development announcing layoffs would begin on March 16th and will continue until all operations have been moved to Texas. The company said some of the 109 employees who will be laid off may be offered jobs at Menasha packing facilities throughout the Fox Valley. Menasha Packaging is a division of the Orbis Corporation. Wisconsin Consumer Protection is tracking a worrisome new scam targeting families caring for elderly relatives. Director Michelle Reinen says the crooks show up at your door offering to help with hospice care for your elderly relative. The crooks will claim that they'll set up consumers with free in-home services like cooking, cleaning, and home health care. What the criminals are actually after is Medicare and Medicaid payments and accounts. Reinen says hospice isn't home care. It's a special end-of-life care and reminds people that Medicare will never come to your door to offer services. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Stand-up comic Bill Burr shared opinions on the catastrophic LA fires during an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, like only Bill Burr can. After saying he was tired of people on the internet sitting at home in their underwear suddenly becoming fire experts, Burr attacked insurance companies, saying they will keep the people's premiums and give themselves bonuses, insinuating that they are the actual looters. John Cena's likability is off the charts with John Cena fans. The sometime actor, sometime wrestler will host a new talk series. Variety reports that Cena will host a 4-episode talker called What Drives You and will interview guests like Logan Paul, Jelly Roll, and Travis Barker and their favorite cars. This is a really original idea that was even more original when Jerry Seinfeld came up with it. What Drives You will air January 21st on the Roku channel. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a few flurries, a low in the low teens, windy with wind chills below 0. Partly sunny for tomorrow, high upper teens, wind chills near 5 below. Partly cloudy Sunday, high near 5, wind chill to 20 below. It's 42 right now.
The Todd Alba Show.
What's worse, fast drivers or slow drivers? Karina listening on WAUK in Milwaukee.
Slow drivers are the worst. They think too slow. They stop in the middle of the highway to think about where they're going. Maybe they need to turn left and right. They changing lines for oh my God, I can do all day long.
Karina, can you tell us what you really think?
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. The Dom Salvia Show.
Jack Smith's report. Maggie, prosecutors considered charging Trump with inciting insurrection, but didn't.
There's an old saying, if you shoot at the king, don't miss. If it's someone who's really powerful or really rich, I gotta be absolutely certain I can prove every charge beyond a reasonable doubt. When it's people that don't have means, then it's I'll throw every conceivable charge at you.
The Dom Salvia Show. Weekdays from 4 till 6 on the Civic Media Radio Network and on the Civic Media app. Dom Salvia.
Just P.S. Dom's producer here. Next time, it's Inauguration Day. Tune in to hear some historical context and perspective from our favorite Delano Democrat, Harvey K.
The Dom Salvia Show.
That's a good Friday night song. Our question tonight, ladies and gentlemen, by way of Todd Alba, who is the inspiration behind tonight's question. What drives you more crazy, slow or fast drivers? Getting some texts rolling in. Please feel free to share. It's 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Let us know what you think, and we will read your thoughts on the radio. Right now, I'm excited to turn our attention. There's been a lot of sports news lately. It was enough just to have this next guest on to talk about the Packers and the upcoming draft, whatever. But then Bob Uecker passes away, and we've got a lot to get to. And here to help us do that is Civic Media Sports Authority, our pal Mike Clemens. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Pete. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Okay. Looking forward to 0 degrees on Sunday. Special.
A little busy on your end, I assume, too. Are you say you're looking forward to 0 degrees? I know you're being facetious, but are you going anywhere for the games this weekend, or are you staying home?
No.
Okay.
The Green Bay Packers, I don't know. It was in the papers. They lost to the Eagles, and the season's over with. And so we had season-ending press conferences with Matt LaFleur, and then yesterday with Brian Gutekunst. So a lot of stories going on there.
Conrad, I think Mike is being sarcastic.
No, I'm not. No, I'm being sincere about that. I'm being sincere about that. Is that
I just
that's
thought
what
maybe
happened.
you would go there to cover, the game for other outlets or something. I didn't know, but
Oh,
glad you get to
you
stay
know,
home. Mike.
yeah, no, I'm going to the Super Bowl.
Well, that's something. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So where should we start, Mike? Should we put a bow on the Packers season first, or jump right into Bob Uecker? Your dime, your dance floor, buddy.
Probably Euchre.
Okay.
Because you know, in the last couple of years, it was a few years ago now that Bob said, okay, I'm 85, 86 years old, and so he stopped covering games on the road, or he had select games. He's been gradually dialing back. But it got to last summer where if the Brewers were home for 3 or 6 games, he might do 1 or 2 games of a homestand. And when I cover the games, you can sit in the press box, and if you're a fan at American Family Field, you can tune a radio to 88.5, and I'm listening on that, and it's in real time. It's not delayed, broadcast delayed. So you could listen to him, and man, his play-by-play calling was better than ever before. It was always been great, but just as sharp and as crisp as can be. But when you listen to this channel, they don't have any commercials on it, so it's just in silence. And sometimes his mic was still hot or on or something, and you could hear him kind of coughing and a little bit of heavy breathing. I'm thinking, and Uke's routine would be get up and go downtown and get on the boat and go out in Lake Michigan and go fishing for a couple hours, like 7 o'clock in the morning. Then go back to the house in Menominee Falls, shower, prep, and then roll into the ballpark in the Corvette. It's always the black Corvette into the loading dock area, which is where it was, Bob Uecker's private garage at the stadium. And then it's just a quick walk where he could walk into the Brewers clubhouse and hang out with the guys there and talk for a while. Then eventually go upstairs and get ready to do the broadcast. And then right as soon as he signed off, man, down the elevator, in the vet, and back up to the house in Menominee Falls. Well, I start listening to some of these broadcasts, and I'm thinking, and then now I started to see that he wasn't making the walk from the loading dock. They were using a little cart to bring him up, right? Just like sometimes you see passengers getting a ride out to the gate at the airport, right?
Yeah.
But he's 90 years old, so that's fine. But then you're seeing other little things about him where you're beginning to worry a little bit about how much longer can he go and what can he do. So last night I was very appreciative. I got a link into a small Zoom call that we had with Mark Ananasio, the owner of the team, who talked for 45 minutes telling us Uecker stories. And at the very end, he said, "Listen, guys, maybe some of you know that he beat pancreatic cancer, which is not easy to do.
That's tough.
Very
Yeah.
rare. But as the family had put in the press release yesterday, Bob has passed away yesterday morning. He'd suffered from something called small cell lung cancer, and he'd had it for the last 2 years. 2 years.
At his age, too.
At 90.
Yeah.
And Ananasio said, I was telling him, Bob, it's okay to slow down. He said, but, Bob could be stubborn at times about certain things. So I would get Bud Selig, his closest friend, the guy who hired him all those years ago, to, suggest to him, Bob, it's okay if you just want to take a couple of weeks or whatever. And then Mark got very emotional. He said, there were days last year where Bob Uecker was getting radiation treatments, then driving to the ballpark and doing 9 innings.
I heard that clip. That is incredible, Mike.
At
his age, at 89 years old or whatever he was, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, the thing about Uecker was, at the end of the day, he was always a player. He wasn't a coach, a broadcaster. He was always a baseball player. He was eternally 24, 25 years old, And it's interesting, he for 60 years, he talked about his 6-year baseball career.
Yeah.
He got a lot of mileage out of it. And, the old joke where, he's a kid that grows up in Milwaukee. His parents were immigrants from Switzerland. He gets interested in baseball. He's actually a pitcher starting out. And he did some time in the military. He told a story a summer or two ago, a great story about him and 4 or 5 other young guys that got a call where they could play in the minor league baseball for the summer up in Eau Claire, and they all rode up in a station wagon together, with a bag of bologna sandwiches and, bottles of milk. And that's how he got started into baseball. And then he got the call from the Braves, and they said, it's going to be, $3,000 a sign. He said, my dad didn't have that kind of money, but eventually he came up with it. And the Braves included me. Those stories like he told in his Hall of Fame induction and at other events that I covered on that when he was the keynote speaker. But the couple of years with the Braves, he moves to the Cardinals in '64, where they win the World Series that year. Did a little stint with the Phillies, and then he gets hired by the Brewers later on as a scout. And he wasn't very good at that. And so then Selig said, hey, let's put you in the broadcast booth with Merle Harmon, great broadcaster.
Wow.
And Tom Collins. Tom Collins, who was a sportscaster. When I was just starting my career, Tom was probably in his 50s or 60s, so I got to work with him. So 2 veteran broadcasters, and you could just, be that player with that experience and know all the players. And he was a scout. I mean, he knew everybody who was in the major leagues, but just his sense of humor and his timing and develop. And what a brilliant move that was by Bud Selig, bringing in a new franchise after no baseball in Milwaukee for 5 or 6 years, and sort of get them over the hump, get this guy on the radio, make it sound fun and funny and having a good times. And, they knew that there was going to be a lot of bad seasons to start with a new franchise. And so you got to keep them entertained somehow. And that's how Uecker was born, really, in terms of that character. The other thing was this. When he got done playing ball, he started that act, that Mr. Baseball thing where first he was doing like sports banquets, and then later he kind of got booked on the college circuit. He had an agent where he was doing that sort of stand-up. And I was thinking about this. Think back to the times, or maybe you've seen clips on YouTube of when he was on with Carson. And then here comes Mr. Baseball, right? So he'd sit there in the chair and say, yeah, no, Johnny, I never hit above 200. Some of these guys hitting 330, 340, what do they got to look forward to? I'd go 200, 201, 202, He would tell those jokes. And the audience would laugh, just like you are. And he'd look at him with that kind of dirty look like, what are you laughing at me for? And this was what was so brilliant about that act. And it just hit me today as I was driving and thinking about being on the show tonight, is that where did he get that? In 67, 68, where did he come up with this? I'm going to be a ball player who tend to be cocky, right? Very self-confident. But I'm going to, be honest about my stats. And when I throw that out, that's the punchline. And these people will laugh at me. And instead of laughing with them or whatever, I'm going to act like I'm hurt. And you know what? Who else was doing that act at the same time? It was Rodney Dangerfield. I don't get no respect.
That came up last night, Mike. We talked about, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I'll be a ball player. I'll tell the truth about my embarrassing career in stats and pass balls from Phil Niekro, from the knuckle ball pitcher, and when the audience laughs, I'll just kind of stare at him like, which makes it even funnier.
Yeah,
to make him angry. So he was doing one of these sports banquets, and Al Hurt, the trumpet player from the 60s, had a hit called Cotton Candy that was big and played the first Super Bowl, as a matter of fact. Great trumpet player with a big beard. You know that song.
Yeah.
Al Hurt was there, and after you killed again, he came over, and the audience is laughing, applauding. He says, man, you're funny. I'll tell you what, I'm going to get you on the Tonight Show. I'm going to call Carson's people. And Uke said, yeah, right, whatever. A couple of weeks later, NBC calls, and they book him, and he flies to New York, and he does the Mr. Baseball act and kills. And as he's leaving the stage, he overhears Carson lean over to Ed McMahon and say, God, that guy's funny. Did he really play baseball? And Ed goes like, yeah, I think so. So he's on there as much as Rickles for the next 30 years, right?
Oh, my
Creating that character. And he gets, the Bud Light commercials and Mr. Belvedere, and then Major League, and he creates this Harry Doyle character and, just a bit outside. And that's how that career was born.
My guest is Mike Clemens, our Civic Media Sports Authority. We're talking about Bob Uecker. Mike, I totally agree with you. And we played the Miller Lite commercial where he's like, I must be in the front row. He missed a tag. One of my favorite commercials of all time. We played that last night. And that's when Rodney Dangerfield popped into my head, but also the comedian Brian Regan. I don't know if you're familiar with Brian's stand-up, but it's...
I am, because Dennis Miller said, watch Brian Regan sometime. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's very self-deprecating. And Uecker was very self-deprecating. You instantly tell people, I'm kind of an open book. I don't take myself too seriously. There's no surprise that he became what he became. What did he become, Mike? He was a great baseball announcer. He was on a sitcom. He was in a movie. You know, he played pro ball, whether he was great or not. I mean, this guy is a multi-talented, and he chose to stay in Milwaukee, and he was still a huge star, but he maybe could have been even bigger. I mean, he just has such a unique skill set. I don't know that America has seen a guy like this before.
Well, the thing is, he was really smart. I mean, he really was smart. He was well-read. He knows things. And you know, he figured out that the clubhouse was a great place to cultivate and to get comedic stories. And, you know, he would tell stories on the air during the ball game where, you know, we're out with this one pitcher, and, you know, you'd find out later, asking Kent or so the other guys, who was he talking about? Drysdale. Yeah, that was Drysdale. Yeah, we're at this restaurant in Chicago, getting a nice steak there. So all the guys are ordering, and then the server gets to my friend here, this former pitcher. You'd all know who he is. And he says, yeah, I'll have the Philip Morgan. And the server goes, I'm sorry, sir, what? And he points to the menu. So, oh, that's the filet mignon. You know, just dumb guy stories. Now, have we got time? I've got a clip there with Conrad. It's about 2 or 3 minutes, or do we need to play it later?
Yeah, let's do, if we could, Mike, let's do a quick break first, and then we can play. You sent so much great stuff. I almost don't even know where to start, but if you can let Conrad know that clip, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I got a chance last night to talk to Yelich, Ryan Brown, and Brandon Woodruff about you. So let's do that after your break.
All right. Another quick story that I remember reading as a kid, a book, and when my first exposure to Bob Uecker was, I was probably 10. He was in this, I don't know if it was his book or Baseball Stories, but he talked about fishing with Boog Powell. And he was sitting in the front of the boat, and they had been partying all night, and they're driving really fast, and he's approaching land really quickly. And Uecker in the book says, I remember thinking, wow, we're really burning right towards that little island there. And he turns them back, and Boog Powell is asleep at the wheel.
Passed out on the boat.
So great. And he's got so many stories like that. All right, Mike Clemens is here. We're talking about Bob Uecker, and he's got some great stuff for us to hear after a very short break here. Great to have you with me, folks, on this Friday night here at Night Light. I am Pete Schwaba, and this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
A teardrop start, and it breaks my heart. When a teardrop falls, I wanna cry, cry, cry alone. When you're feeling blue, I'm waiting just for you. Someone's living for love. Someone's living for love. And I love her.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
we've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now, we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available in both tablets and as a delicious gummy. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
Hey, it's John Mino.
And Jim Schmidt from Mino and the Mayor.
Want to stay in the loop with all things Northeast Wisconsin? Sign up for the WGBW Weekly Newsletter.
Get the latest local stories, updates on the weather, and a special feature from our Mino and the Mayor podcast.
It's your one-stop shop for real news and great conversation in Northeast Wisconsin.
Log on to WGBW.FM today and get signed up.
Real news, great conversation. Sign up today at WGBW.FM/newsletter. The Todd Alba Show.
What's worse, fast drivers or slow drivers? Karina listening on WAUK in Milwaukee.
Slow drivers are the worst. They think too slow. They stop in the middle of the highway to think about where they're going. Maybe they need to turn left and right. They changing lines for oh my God, I can do all day long.
Karina,
yes,
can you tell us what you really think?
The Todd Alba.
Welcome back to this Friday edition of Night Light. Hope you guys had a great week. It's great to have you with me tonight. We're talking about Bob Uecker right now with Civic Media Sports Authority, Mike Clemens, and having some laughs because that is what Bob Uecker brought everybody. Knowledgeable baseball commentary and a lot of laughter. Mike, let's you sent me so much stuff. I don't even know where to start. So why don't you tell us what we should play? I love the where you were going with the Zoom interview you did.
Yeah, it's a cut two for Conrad. I was very appreciative that the Brewers, sent me a link, and I got into this little conversation with some of the other reporters, so the guys that cover the team every day. And as I said, we talked to Mark Ananasio, the owner, who talked about when he first bought the team. It's like, Uke was like, okay, here comes the money guy. And, he'd had this lifelong relationship with the Seeligs, and, it took a little while for him to warm up. And then, after about a year or two in it, it's like, hey, Bob, can we get you to sign the contract? No, I don't need one. Do you really need one? No, and so, Mark went on with a handshake. They shook hands. It was a shake hands deal for the last 20 years after, he'd worked for Bud and Wendy and, the family for the, 30 years or so before that. It was just a handshake deal. That's the way he wanted it. He didn't want it to seem like a job, right? And so you would see Bob Uecker come into the clubhouse, as I said, about 3:30 or so, and they let you, when you cover baseball, there's about an hour you can go in the clubhouse before the game and write your feature stories. Talk to a guy for 5-10 minutes, maybe his background. After the game, it's like a 5-minute interview. Just talk about that game, maybe what's going on tomorrow, because everybody wants to get home. It's been a late day. Those guys have been there 12 hours for the day. So it wouldn't be unusual to see Uecker go into the clubhouse, say hi to some of the players, laugh it up, then go into the clubhouse manager's office, which is right through some glass, and they'd sit there and talk about fishing or stuff in the news or talk about old baseball stories. But Bob would just sit there and talk and talk. Now, Bob didn't talk to, like, me or other reporters, but he talked to the baseball people. He's part of the team. Right. One time I went in there, and when Prince Fielder was on that team, it was Prince's clubhouse, okay? I mean, he was in charge. He was the leader. And so things were getting kind of tight, and Prince is over in the corner by his locker with 2 or 3 other players. They're going over video, getting ready for that night's game. And Uke is in there laughing it up with 6 or 7 guys in the equipment manager's office. And finally, Prince gets upset with this cackling going on with a bunch of old men in there. He goes in the office, and he bangs on the door and says, hey, knock it off in there, man. We're trying to get ready for a game. And you goes, oh, geez. And those, one at a time, those guys slither out of the office. Like, oh, sorry, Prince. Like a bunch of kids. So I got a chance to, on the call here, you're going to hear Christian Yelich, pitcher Brandon Woodruff, and Ryan Braun out from L.A. And we got to ask them, I asked them this question.
He beat pancreatic cancer, which nobody beats. But he had another cancer now, and he did the job right to the end, which is extraordinary.
Hold on.
I kept trying to tell him to slow down.
This is one this labeled cut to.
Is this the Zoom?
Spotlight. Yeah.
All right, let's play that if we have it.
So is that the Yelich interviews?
Yeah. It's one. No, it says Mike talks to those three players. Do you have that cut?
I don't think I have that cut, actually.
All right. Well, I asked this question of them, Pete, and it was, so you could come and talk to you, but at some point, were you ever concerned if you told them a funny story or about something weird that happened with a player, or maybe you had a serious baseball concern, that somehow that was going to end up, on the radio at night? And Yelich said, no, when you talked to Bob, you knew you were talking about things that were off the record. And it wasn't long before, you arrived as a Brewer that, Bob would just talk to you as Bob. You got the sense that this, and Ryan Braun said, he says, Bob was like the team psychologist. He was like a safe haven. You knew that you could talk about that. And Brandon Woodruff said, as a pitcher, sometimes, you get done after 5 or 6 innings, and you'd come in the clubhouse, and the game is being piped in. So you can hear what Bob is saying, about the game in the clubhouse while the game is in progress. And no, he you know what? He said Bob never said anything bad about players. I mean, he could talk about the situation. He could talk about errors and mistakes that were made, and maybe decisions that the managers had to make. But he's not even the opposing players. He just talked about the action on the field. He did not, rip players on the air.
That's
one of the things that probably made him so endearing to the listeners for over 50 years.
Absolutely. I'm almost sure we have that clip, Con. Was it number 6? It was. It said Zoom, and Yelich was on it. I know I heard that clip. I would love to play that if we could after the news. No luck?
I'm not.
Okay.
We'll talk during the break, yeah.
That's okay. All right. Mike, can you want to stick around if we can find that clip? I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. We just have to do the quick news here like we do at Civic Media, and if not, we should find another. There's so much great stuff you sent. I feel like this should be a mini series because there was so much good stuff from Braun and Yelich and, like you said, the owner, and then your Packer stuff too. But we'll do that after the news if you don't mind sticking around for a few minutes.
No problem.
Are you in Milwaukee tonight, Mike?
And actually, I'm in Beloit right now.
Oh, okay.
I just left Green Bay a couple of hours ago when we got done with some press conferences there, and I got some stuff going on. And then, I got some Buck stuff to cover later on. So
okay, perfect. All right, Mike is going to stick around for a few minutes. We'll try to find that clip, and then we will welcome Meredith Chumisko from Kenosha to talk about snow days. This is Pete Schwaba and Nightlight. We're coming right back on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW. Earl Ingram.
On the next show, we'll discuss the life and presidency of Jimmy Carter with journalist and political consultant Candy Stroud before spending some time honoring Dr. King's holiday.
The Earl Ingram Show, weekday mornings at 9. The Maggie Dawn Show.
Here's what the WSJ had said after J6. This week has probably finished Donald Trump as a serious political figure. Boy, that hasn't aged well, has it?
No, not at all. In the Wall Street Journal. So after what they just said 4 years ago, Maggie, they couldn't bring it upon themselves to say that guy who did that shouldn't be anywhere near the White House again. Nope, couldn't do it.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekdays from 2 till 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app. You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram. This is 97.9 WGBW Denmark, Green Bay's real news and great conversation, a Civic Media radio station.
ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. Israel's full cabinet signed off on the three-phase Gaza hostage release ceasefire deal. Phase 1 is supposed to start Sunday.
The release of the first hostages, 33 of them are set to be freed over the next 6 weeks in exchange for hundreds of Palestinians that Israeli officials have imprisoned. There have been a lot of challenges in reaching this point, but this again is just the start of the first phase of this agreement. There are still several more phases.
ABC's Selena Wang. With much of the U.S. about to get a crippling blast of Arctic air, President-elect Trump ordered Monday's inauguration moved indoors under the Capitol Rotunda, the Capital One Arena, to be open for a live viewing. The Biden administration announced that weight loss, diabetes drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy are now on Medicare's list of medications whose prices to be negotiated directly with the pharmaceuticals. 25 medications now on the list. This is ABC News.
Civic Media, Wisconsin's source for real news and great conversation, offers podcasts of all of our daily shows online and on demand. Simply go to civicmedia.us, click on daily shows, and choose the podcast that you want to download. Shows are updated daily, or you can save them and listen all at once. Our podcasts are sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. You are an organ donor, right? Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Learn more at heroicdeed.com.
Skilled trade workers are the backbone of every community, and also the Army National Guard. Soldiers trained to keep the power flowing, engines running, and in every other trade needed to accomplish the mission. These soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hay. Just days before it was to take effect, the U.S. Supreme Court has unanimously decided to uphold the federal law that bans TikTok. The law goes into effect on Sunday. It bans TikTok from U.S. app stores unless the China-based owner sells it to an American company. ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok, has said it will not sell. However, the Wall Street Journal has reported that they are considering a sale to ex-owner Elon Musk. A Little Chute mother has been convicted in the drug overdose death of her 2-year-old child. 29-year-old Brooke Seal pleaded no contest to felony charges of neglecting a child, causing death, and possession of an illegal article. A charge of possession of narcotics was dismissed but read into the record. Seal's daughter died from fentanyl poisoning. Investigators found a backpack containing nearly 1,500 fentanyl pills in a laundry room of the home. Seal will be sentenced on March 24th. Did you know attending the NFL Draft 2025 in Green Bay will be free? Nick Meisner, Vice President of Digital Marketing for Discovery.
Is Jordan Love the one? Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. NFL Packers GM Brian Gutekunst held his end-of-season press conference and was asked after 2 years, does he think that quarterback Jordan Love will someday lead the team to a Super Bowl?
I've talked many times about how even keel he is, and I think his growth and the way he manages our football team has been pretty impressive.
The Packers have fired defensive line coach Jason Rebovich. The D-line criticized for a lack of quarterback sacks. Baseball tributes to Bob Uecker, who died after a 2-year battle with lung cancer. Uecker loved talking to players in the clubhouse. I asked Christian Yelich if he could trust Uecker to keep those chats private.
Well, I think he was always on the player's side. I think he always had our back no matter what. And he was always pretty passionate about that. I think he would tell you that on a daily basis, whether you're going through a hard time or not, or whatever was going on the field. And, you got the true version of Bob where he could let his guard down.
That's the Brewers' Christian Yelich with sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm Lisa Hale with WGBW News. Your news in depth. Find it in the news section at WGBW.FM.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a few flurries, a low in the low teens, windy with wind chills below 0. Partly sunny for tomorrow, high upper teens, wind chills near 5 below. Partly cloudy Sunday, high near 5, wind chill to 20 below. It's 42 right now.
Mino and the Mayor.
Landon Jones, his commercial is a semifinalist for Doritos and could air during the Super Bowl.
I was sitting on the couch, I was eating some Doritos, I just had one in my hand, I was looking at it. Well, what if my hand got bigger? And then I was like, okay, well, what would happen if I ate it? Okay, the head would get bigger. And then, I kind of went down the rabbit hole.
I wonder if it would work there.
Mino and the Mayor, weekday morning 6 till 9 on WGBW and WISS and the Civic Media app.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
John Mino and Jim Schmidt.
Hey, everybody, have a great weekend. On Monday, we'll find out exactly how cold it's going to get with Civic Media meteorologist Brittany Merlot.
And we'll check in with Sam.
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Night Light with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy who thinks outside the box and hates cliches, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome back. You are just in time for hour number 2, ladies and gentlemen, of Night Light this Friday edition. We are broadcasting statewide from beautiful downtown Green Bay. Great to have you with me. 7:35, it's a bar band Friday night here at Night Light. Terry Barr, host of Max Inc. Radio, will be here, and she has fantastic music tonight from Janet Planet and Isaiah and the New People. Very exciting, great stuff. Stick around. And in just a few minutes, we'll talk to Meredith Jamisko. She is the marketing director for Downtown Kenosha, and she will fill us in about Snow Days, a really cool upcoming event happening there in K-Town. Right now, we have just a few more minutes with our pal Mike Clemens. We're talking Bob Uecker. Mike, we were able to locate that clip. So with your permission, sir, we would love to fire that up and have you discuss it.
Yeah. It almost felt, Pete, like an early kind of memorial gathering. These guys wanted to come forward and talk to reporters, talk to the guys in the media on the Zoom call, because Woodruff is back south, and Yelich was checking in, and you're going to hear Christian Yelich, pitcher Brandon Woodruff, and Ryan Braun, who, by the way, Brawny had to evacuate from his home out there in L.A.
Really?
Yeah. So he was calling from a secondary place that he had. But they came in on the Zoom calls so that the TV people get that. And when it got to be my turn to ask him a question, here's how that went down.
Okay.
Mike Clemens. I was thinking about Bob today when he was doing the games at night or on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. The stories he told, he was so observant of the collection of characters that could be in a clubhouse and telling those stories. And yet it seemed like you guys must have trusted him that if you shared a story, he'd never embarrass you, right?
Well, I think he was always on the player's side. I think he always had our back no matter what. And he was always pretty passionate about that. I think he would tell you that on a daily basis, whether you're going through a hard time or not, or whatever was going on the field. And he always would have your back over anything. So I think you knew when you're talking to him, you're just talking and you don't have to worry about something getting out that's not supposed to, or, he would never do anything like that. And it was the same for him though, too, because he could talk to us about anything and we obviously wouldn't share it if it wasn't supposed to be shared. And I think that's part of why he liked being in the clubhouse so much. It was essentially a sanctuary for him where, he's Bob Uecker in life, but when he's in the clubhouse, he's just Bob and he can be himself, and he knows that those are his friends. It's a place where he can let his guard down and just be him. And I think that's why, you guys kind of heard all the special stories from, guys in the clubhouse from behind the scenes, because, you got the true version of Bob where he could let his guard down and just be him. And you guys could talk about whatever.
Yeah, I would kind of piggyback off of Yelly. You never felt like if there was anything you said in the clubhouse, it was ever going to get out. And, just kind of a safe haven for everybody. And also too, when the games are on during the game, sometimes the guys will go back in the clubhouse and watch the game and listen to they'll have Bob on the TV, and there was never, and this is what strikes me now, there's never an instance where, speaking of having the players back, he will never ever say a bad word about a player, and I think that was probably just, it's one of the, it's hard to do that. It's hard not to say something negative, yeah, at some point, but at no point would you ever hear him say anything bad about especially a Brewers player or any other player. I mean, heck, I think I remember when Adam Wainwright was going through his tour there, he wanted to get in the booth with him, and I remember listening to that and how Bob would talk to him when he was doing that as an opposing player of the Cardinals, big rival, and I think that speaks volumes. But I always thought that was pretty cool. He would always have the players back, and he would never have a bad thing to say about any of the guys.
Yeah, I think it always felt like a safe space when you were having a conversation with him. He was almost like a team psychiatrist or psychologist where you knew that you could talk to him about anything, you could fully trust him. You valued his feedback and his opinion, and you knew that anything that you shared, you could trust that he was going to do right by you.
That is great stuff, Mike. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, I just appreciate those players,
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Vasallo, PR guy, we kind of put it, hey, is anybody going to talk to us? And, hey, we're working on it, hang in there. We got a little update, 3:30. Hey, is 4 o'clock, 4:15 okay? And they got all three of those guys, and we talked for like an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah,
that says a lot about him.
It was just a conversation.
Yeah.
We just had a conversation, and guys telling stories and all that. And I think the Brewers have got some of that linked up on their website. I haven't checked or so, but I was allowed to record that. They know that I'm doing that and sending it out to our civic media stations now across the state. In half a dozen of our stations are Milwaukee Brewer Radio affiliates. We're going to play those games this summer. But yes. That also shows where, unlike other franchises, the Brewers, it really is a family, man. I mean, when you walk in there game day, all those people that work in the stadium, I mean, they love each other. Those 80, precious days that they get to work together at the ballpark, and Euchre was the king of all that. Hey, we're at the ballpark. We're gonna have a good time, right? Now he would, as I said, he'd get in, take the elevator, go to the booth, pretty much work on his thing. But he might come out in the cafeteria, and he'd stand there in the press box cafeteria. Florence, when are you gonna give me a decision? And she'd go, oh, Mr. Bob, please go away. This short little woman, with the hairnet that was serving the food in the press box, because he would get down on his knee and propose marriage to her.
Oh, that's so great.
Every week, And then he'd look to the rest of the crowd and, a bunch of reporters slopping down some food before the game starts. He goes, man, I've been working on this for 5 years. She won't give me an answer. Gave her a ring and everything. Jeez, and then he walks back into the booth. Closes the door.
That's so great, Mike. I hope you tune in next Wednesday. We'll have Skip Paris on. He played the other announcer in Major League, who sat in the booth with Bob. So Skip is a comedian, a Chicago-based comedian, very funny. And he'll come on and share some Euchre stuff too. And man, I almost wish we had dedicated like the whole show to this because these stories are so great. And I heard the clip you sent where Euchre said Major League 1 and 2 were good. The third one stunk.
The third one stunk. Stunk. Yeah, when you look at that scene where Euchre's playing Harry Doyle and your guest is right next to him is the play-by-play guy. Then over his shoulder is a guy with a big mustache and he's kind of the engineer, right? And that's Gene Butterfield, and he was a radio engineer from our sister station at WRJN down in Racine at the time that was being filmed. A great guy who was a part of that cast too. It was that summer of '89, and they just had this this call. There's going to be this movie, and Euchre's going to be in it. But you didn't know that Corbin Burns, and Charlie Sheen and these other actors would be there.
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, Behringer. Yeah. No one knew it was going to be that huge of a film, but there's thousands of extras, that just would show up every night. And I remember driving home from the radio station, 11 o'clock at night, and the lights were still on at County Stadium while they were shooting night scenes, well into the night, while those people would say, okay, take 20, I need you to cheer again, okay? Or I need you to chant Wild Thing or something like that. And, they did that night after night for like a month or so till they could get all their scenes, their externals.
Another great chapter to Bob Uecker's legacy. Very cool stuff, Mike. Thank you so much. Let's jump into some Packer stuff another time. We'll have lots to discuss with the draft coming up and everything. But this was really fun. Thank you, buddy, so much.
You bet, Pete. You bet. Conrad, you guys take care. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks a lot, Mike. That's Mike Clemens, Civic Media Sports Authority. Mike Clemens. Always fun to talk to Mike. Conrad, are you still there?
I am still here.
You took a powder. Okay.
No, I never take powders anymore.
It's good to have you, buddy. Hey, so we're running a little behind, but I'm very excited to welcome our next guest. She comes to us all the way from beautiful Kenosha, Wisconsin, down there in the southeast part of the state. Her name is Meredith Comisko, and she is the public relations director for Visit Kenosha. They have a really cool festival coming up next week, and Meredith has agreed to come on the show and tell us all about it. Meredith, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for your patience. We were talking Bob Uecker, as you probably heard, and but we're very excited now to talk about snow days. So thanks for joining us on this Friday night.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is the 11th annual event for Snow Days. So it happens in downtown Kenosha on January 25th, and we welcome everyone to come downtown to the lake and see nearly 60 ice sculptures on display.
Okay, so this is fascinating to me, Meredith. Sculpting ice is an incredible talent. I don't know how people do it. I've never watched someone do it. I just look at them and I see the detail. And I was telling Conrad earlier in the show, I bet you 10-1, people just walk by, nod, and appreciate it. But do people really appreciate how much effort goes into sculpting structures like that?
Yeah, they may not, but they definitely love looking at it, and it's a great photo opportunity, and it's incredible, this business. Downtown Kenosha partners with Art Below Zero and Franksville, and I actually watched a documentary on them not too long ago. They make their own ice at their workshop facility, and then they truck it in, and I mean, this guy's cranking out ice sculptures week after week. He's doing 90 for some event this weekend, so it's yeah, and it's very small. Few people, do it.
That is crazy.
There's few people, I should say, helping him out. Yeah.
Yeah. What I found fascinating was I was looking at everything you guys offer at Snow Days, and I thought, then I saw the time, 2 hours. How do you do all this? This seems like it should be like a weekend event or a night thing. You guys, there must not be one dull moment in that 2 hour time frame.
No, yeah. The 2 hours at Veterans Memorial Park, you see them actually do an ice sculpture demonstration, and there's music and there's s'mores you can cook over fire pits. But the ice sculptures will stay up well beyond that event, depending on the weather, of course. We're hoping for cold weather and not too sunny, so the ice sculptures will last well into the next week.
Oh, yeah. That could be a whole different kind of festival if you get unseasonable warmth, I would imagine. All right, so we got to do a very quick break, Meredith. When we come back, I want to ask you about some of the other things you guys offer. I know there's ice skating and electric streetcar rides and food, and we'll get into all that. And then I just want to ask you a general question about Kenosha. What I think Kenosha is a city that's going to start to boom, Meredith, and you're the public relations director, so I want to ask you about that and see if we're on the same page there. But thank you for being with us tonight. We'll have more. A few minutes more with Meredith Comisko. She's the public relations director for Visit Kenosha, and their very cool program, Snow Days, happens January 25th from 1 to 3 in Veterans Memorial Park. We'll be right back with more Nightlight with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Oh, what's going on? Right on.
Listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for the Maggie Dawn Show. Hi, I'm Michael Friedman, CEO of Simple Life Hospitality. Let us take the hassle out of vacation rental property management. We'll maximize your earnings and handle every detail from cleaning to maintenance and repairs. For guests, enjoy a stay that feels like home with hand-selected properties, personal touches like local recommendations, and extras like concierge service that will make your trip unforgettable. Whether you're a homeowner or a traveler, experience the Simple Life. Visit simpleliferentals.com.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. In the first week of the new session of the Wisconsin State Legislature, Republicans fast-tracked a measure that would put a question on the ballot in the upcoming spring election that would enshrine voter ID in the state constitution. Two things on this. First, it is telling that Republicans made this their very first order of business. Senate Democratic leader Dianne Hesselbein responded to this saying it's not cost of living or health care or gun violence that Republicans wanted to focus on, but a constitutional amendment. Telling, isn't it? But that leads to the second piece. Republicans are clearly doing this for politically motivated reasons. By having this on the spring election ballot, they're betting it will make it more likely that people who showed up to vote for Donald Trump in November will be heading to the polls to help elect right-wing candidate Brad Schimmel to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. That election is on April 1st, so buckle up.
Find all of Dan's work at the Recombobulation area and on our website at civicmedia.us. The Todd Alba Show.
What's worse, fast drivers or slow drivers? Karina listening on WAUK in Milwaukee.
Slow drivers are the worst. They think too slow. They stop in the middle of the highway to think about where they're going. Maybe they need to turn left and right. They changing lines for, oh my God, I can do all day long.
Karina, can you tell us what you really think?
The Todd Alba Show.
Welcome back. Our question of the night is, what drives you more crazy, slow or fast drivers? The inspiration coming from Todd Alba in the cut you just heard. We thought it would be fun to put it out there. We will read more of your texts in just a few minutes. Please get in on the fun and let us know what you think. Right now, or coming up in a few minutes, I should say, it's a bar band Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. Terry Barr will be here at 7:35 with new music, as always. It'll be great to talk to Terry, and she has picked out fantastic music tonight, so I highly encourage you to stick around if you weren't going to already. Right now, we have a few more minutes with our friend Meredith Jumisko, who is the Public Relations Director for the city of Kenosha, or Visit Kenosha. I'm sorry, Meredith, great to have you. So I asked you before the break, how do you do all this in 2 hours? You've got food, ice skating, ice sculptures. How does it work?
Well, you just enjoy the day is what you do. You can come early, come for breakfast, enjoy downtown in the morning, enjoy the event, and then stick around into dinner. So yes, at the park, you can see a demonstration. You can see some of the ice sculptures, and then there are more ice sculptures throughout downtown in front of various businesses, and they're all offering, or many of them are offering special discounts. So it gives you a reason to stick around all day. And while you're at the park, you can go ice skating at the ice rink there.
That is sounds like a lot of fun. You got ice skating, you got s'mores. What are the electric streetcar rides? That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a 2-mile loop through downtown. So you can park further away from the event, take the streetcar to it, and they are free in conjunction with this event. Usually there's a fee, but they're free a few times a year, and they're authentic streetcars from the 1950s. So they are one of my most favorite attractions. You have got to ride them if you never have. It's one of the things I highly recommend. Anyone comes to Kenosha for the first time, you have to ride the streetcar.
How fun. Oh, that sounds great. How did you get involved in this racket, and how did you end up? Are you a lifelong native of Kenosha, or how did you find this fun, what sounds like a really fun gig?
Yeah, actually, I went to college in Kenosha, UW Parkside. So that was my first foray into Kenosha. And I've been here over 24 years now at Visit Kenosha. So it's a lot of fun. It's something keeps you busy all year long. We just finished producing our 2025 Kenosha Area Visitors Guide that's out. And then we are already into event season here, the first month of the year. So always something to do.
Not wasting any time. That's great. All right. So I have a question for you. You know, with all of the terrible hurricanes and fires and all the nutty stuff going on in the world with global warming or climate change, you know, you hear all about there's going to be this great migration to the Midwest Kenosha's right on the lake. It's halfway between Milwaukee and Chicago. It's such a great location. Do you guys, and I don't know if you're in on meetings like this, but does the city of Kenosha anticipate a lot of growth? I mean, it seems like a perfect location.
Yes, growth is actually underway right now. There's revitalization efforts in 3 different parts of the city, including downtown, and that includes commercial, residential, recreation spaces being created. There's already been a lot of new residential buildings put up and more underway. So we are definitely well prepared to be in that position to have more people come and live in Kenosha.
Do you want more people, Meredith?
Yes, come to our events, our restaurants, our businesses would love it. We are ready for tourism. We rank 16th out of the 72 counties in Kenosha for tourism.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we have a lot of great things happening here.
That sounds great. And I wasn't asking because Conrad and I want to stop by your place or anything. I'm just wondering in general. Hey, before we let you go, Meredith, and I wish you a lot of luck with the festival. It sounds like so much fun. I ask a lot of guests this when they come on the show. We talk about TV and movies a lot. Are you watching anything on TV you could recommend, or something you're binge watching, or seen any good movies in the theaters lately?
Okay, I'm still watching Hallmark Christmas movies.
Oh, wow. Really? Conrad, we have to remember Meredith next year when we do our Hallmark sketches again.
Yes.
Maybe we'll have you be part of one, Meredith. We think that would be really fun. We made some funny movie trailers for Hallmark films. So, well, that's great. That's fantastic. You can watch those past Christmas. There are no rules to this, right?
Yeah, and then the winter ones, and then the spring ones, and it's year round for me.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Hey, thank you so much. It was great to meet you, and good luck with snow days, Meredith. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
You're welcome. All right. That's Meredith Jumisko. Check out Snow Days next weekend in Kenosha. It sounds like a lot of fun. They're going to have over 60 ice sculptures. Stop and look at them, folks. They're beautiful. They're beautiful works of art that so much detail goes into. And I feel like, and even Meredith kind of agreed with me, Conrad. People they kind of just walk through and oh, that's nice. And I don't think they really understand how much goes into those things.
They could, look after when they take a picture, be like, wow, and then they look at the details on the picture.
Okay.
You know
what I would try to do? I would try to sell one. See if I could get anyone to buy.
Okay.
Not realizing they have to keep it cold all the time. Hey, we have it's Jim Carrey's birthday. We've got Terry Barr coming up. Do we have any more Dumb and Dumber, or should we go Paul Blart?
We do. I mean, you could whichever one you want to do.
Let's do. I do love that Paul Blart clip. I know I have this weird affinity for this movie that's kind of a kid's movie, but as I may or may not, do we have time?
It's too long.
The Paul Blart?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we could play a clip from Dumb and Dumber if you want it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go Dumb and Dumber in honor of Jim Carrey's birthday. Here we go.
Why are you going to the airport? Flying somewhere?
How'd you guess?
Well, I saw your luggage. Then when I noticed the airline ticket, I put 2 and 2 together. So where are you headed?
Aspen.
California. Beautiful. Name's Christmas. Lloyd Christmas.
I'm Mary Swanson.
This isn't my real job,
No?
Nope. My friend Harry and I are saving up our money to open our own pet store.
That's nice.
I got worms.
I beg your pardon?
That's what we're going to call it. I got worms. We're going to specialize in selling worm farms. Like ant farms. What's the matter? A little tense about the flight?
Something like that.
There's really nothing to worry about, Mary. Statistically, they say you're more likely to get killed on the way to the airport. In a head-on crash or flying off a cliff or getting trapped under a gas truck. That's the worst. I have this cousin. Well, I have this.
Lloyd, could you keep your eyes on the road, please?
Oh, yeah. Good thinking. Can't be too careful. A lot of bad drivers out there.
And that leads us to our question of the night, folks. That's a really good segue there, Connor. Whenever I see a guy with bangs, that's what we call it. We say, check out Lloyd Christmas. Because you don't see that a lot, right?
Yeah,
you don't see a lot of dudes with bangs. So how we doing on time?
We got about 30 seconds.
All right. I can't read the text. All right. But we will read them later, and we will welcome Terry Barr after Civic Media's award-winning news team keeps you informed and tells you what you need to know. Great to have you with us, folks, on this Friday night. edition of Nightlight. It's Pete Schwaba. We will be right back on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Jump in, it ain't no sin. Take a ride in my machine. City traffic's moving way too slow.
From De Pere to Swamico, 97.9 WGBW. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. UW Green Bay has installed its first EV charging station on campus at Kirk Condon Hall, and in the next few months, a second will be installed in the Widener's Lot A. There's a small charge to use the stations as mandated by the state, but the charging ports were funded by an alumni donation. A new report shows Wisconsinites are spending time behind bars for unpaid traffic and parking tickets, and that means disadvantaged people can be the most targeted. If you find yourself in a municipal court and can't afford to pay your tickets, ACLU senior attorney Emma Shankshaft says you have the right to request what's known as a poverty hearing to request payment alternatives. But the ACLU report says instead, most of the courts that still use carceral sanctions implement aggressive tactics like jailing people for unpaid tickets to increase enforcement and funding. Sometimes people have more than one ticket, and that can be hard to dig out of.
Paying that off can be an incredibly difficult task. And for people who can't afford it, they're just continuously kept in the legal system.
You might be thinking, wait, but these aren't criminal offenses. But for some, if they're in a court that issues carceral sanctions, the outcome is the same as if it was criminal. The ACLU of Wisconsin is asking that all municipal courts across the state end these practices and implement what it calls a more rational and equitable approach to addressing these debts. Several municipal courts in northeast Wisconsin do currently issue warrants or commitments. They include Green Bay, Ashwaubenon, Brillion, and Manitowoc, just to name a few. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Malcolm in the Middle is putting the band back together. The crazy popular show that premiered in 2000 is ready for a reboot. Bryan Cranston and Jane Kaczmarek will return, as well as series creator and head writer Linwood Boomer. Frankie Muniz also returns as Malcolm, who is now almost 40. During the show's 151-episode run, it pulled 33 Emmy nominations. Disney announced they will make 4 episodes to start. And oh my gosh, it's been a few weeks since Taylor Swift has made news. She is being a supportive girlfriend. Travis Kelce has decided to continue his NFL career despite falling stat lines, and Taylor Swift says she fully supports his decision. That's the story. It's not much, folks, but a little Taylor Swift news is less depressing than other news happening around the world. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a few flurries, a low in the low teens, windy with wind chills below 0. Partly sunny for tomorrow, high upper teens, wind chills near 5 below. Partly cloudy Sunday, high near 5, wind chill to 20 below. It's 39 right now.
The Todd Alba Show.
What's worse, fast drivers or slow drivers? Karina listening on WAUK in Milwaukee.
Slow drivers are the worst. They think too slow. They stop in the middle of the highway to think about where they're going. Maybe they need to turn left and right. They changing lines for oh my God, I can do all day long.
Karina,
yes,
can you tell us what you really think?
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. The Dom Salvia Show.
Brad Schimmel, a J6 sympathizer, and he wants to be your next Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice. When he was Attorney General of Wisconsin, he spent thousands of dollars on memorial coins.
I would have been fired
that stood
if
for
I'd done that.
Kicking ass every day. Hey, if you got to get a coin that says it, you're probably not doing it.
With your face on it.
The Dom Salvia Show. Weekdays from 4 till 6 on the Civic Media Radio Network and on the Civic Media app. Jane Matnair and Greg Bach.
Coming up in the show, more studies show men are lonely. Why is that? What can be done? Dr. Kristen Lyerly joins us. Don't miss it.
Matt and Air on air. Weekday mornings at 10. Time to check out original music with Bar Band Friday on Nightlight. Now, your host, Pete Schwaba, and special guest, Terry Barr.
She is a special guest. One of our most special. We love having Terry Barr on every Friday night to celebrate music. And she does a great job as one of the hosts of Max Inc. Radio, which you can catch right here on Civic Media on Saturday nights from 6 to midnight. And she is back. I could have made another bar joke there, Terry, and said bar back. But you are bar band Terry Barr. Welcome, Terry. How are you?
And I think you gave me that name, so I really don't have anything to do with it. So.
Well, you're kind of the crux of the whole thing here. You're the glue. So
okay,
however you want
I'll
to phrase
take it. I don't mind it at all.
That's fantastic. All right.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing very well. Conrad, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
I'm good too. I know you had Mike Clemens on earlier to talk about Bob Uecker. I just have to say, I could not have loved that man more. Grew up with the voice like everyone else. And the first time I ever got to meet him, I couldn't speak, if you can believe it.
Oh,
I
I
had
believe
nothing
it.
to say. Growing up with that voice and my dad loving him the way he did, I was a stone. I just stood there, and luckily I was with a photographer. We were in Cincinnati covering the Reds Brewers game, and he explained to Bob my issue. And Bob so graciously left, and I thought, "Oh no, I lost my opportunity, Pete." No, he graciously comes back with a photo. Ugh, what a photo. Him on his Harley in the middle of County Stadium.
He's a Harley guy? I've learned
Yeah.
more about
Oh,
Bob Uecker in the
yeah.
last 2 days. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, this picture is awesome. It was his Harley, he told me. And I finally did say a few words. I think the ice finally broke. He signed it for my dad, and it sat next to my dad's chair every day until my dad passed. So I took
my
it.
gosh, what a cool story and what a cool thing to
Yeah.
have.
He gave me a little hug. I mean, he just looked like he loved everything. His eyes were always so light and bright, and you just hope that you can be someone like that for other people.
Well, and what a cool thing for you to be able to give your dad. I'm sure that meant a ton to him as well. So thank you for sharing that. That's musical in its own way, Terry.
Well, it's weird for, when I tell people I couldn't talk and they're like, "You?" We all have our moments of quiet sometimes.
Absolutely. I mean, and especially when you meet an idol, it's you clam up. You're like, oh, I don't want to sound cliche. I want to think of the right thing to say. It can be terrifying.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, you have picked out two really fantastic artists to share with us
Oh,
tonight.
good.
I just love I've heard the name Janet Planet for decades, and I know who she is. But I probably don't know nearly as much about her as I probably should. But tell everybody about Janet Planet.
Let me tell you this too. When I worked in Green Bay at Fox 11, we were still the NBC affiliate. My co-anchor, Jay Johnson, and many people in Green Bay will remember that name, was appalled that I had never heard Janet Planet. So the next show, he said, "We're going." And I have loved her music ever since. But I will be honest, this is the first time, and I've chased her off and on. I mean, sometimes we didn't live here, but then when we got back, I chased her for interviews. Finally got one. And, she has been doing this her entire life. She is a full-time traveling musician. She travels the world, Pete. She plays jazz festivals, and we're talking huge jazz festivals all over the world. And it just stuns me to think, wow, she chooses to live in Oshkosh.
Has she always?
Yes. And she said when people ask her, "Why didn't you go to one of the coasts or maybe New Orleans or somewhere like that?" And she said, "Why? I can get on an airplane. I can fly wherever I need to. and I can actually afford a house in Oshkosh.
And that's Janet Planet saying that. I mean, that should tell you something. It's. I think a lot of people would do that. I think a lot of artists would do that if they thought it was an option. And
Right.
It's not like you can't make it from a place like Oshkosh or Decatur, Illinois, or whatever. But it's a little
Mhm.
harder. But once you're established, I mean, good for her.
Yeah. And here's another new thing along with the new music, and I have a story for you about her new music too, but I love this. They've had a studio, kind of, ragtag sort of studio that you could just bump into and go record whatever you might need to. Well, they decided in the last year to take an entire room and make it a dedicated studio. So now she just started actually giving lessons from this studio. They're doing these intimate concerts. I love this, where you can come in. I think it's a typically, bring your own booze or water or whatever you might want to have. But there's little couches all around, and it's just a really intimate gathering. And then she said she also wants to have educational events, but they want to host it all at their house in this studio.
Did she make a comeback, Terry, or did she never go away? I think there was a documentary about her recently or a film, and now I'm hearing the music that you're bringing. Did she take a break, or did we just
No.
not know?
You know what? You might be thinking of the Janet Planet movie. There's an actual movie about this other woman with the same name.
Oh.
And yeah, Janet said she gets asked that all the time
Oh, what
when
on
we
the
had
heck
our
are the
brief
odds of
discussion
that?
about our interview. And she said, I am not that Janet Planet. I'm the jazzy Janet Planet.
How is there someone named Janet Planet that's famous for music and a movie comes out with her name and it's not her? That's
I
insane.
have no idea. You're the film guy. I'll let you figure that one out.
I'm not going to tackle that one. All right. Well, let's hear some Janet Planet. You brought a song called What Greater Joy. Are we ready to roll that, do you think, Tara?
Let me, if I may, Pete.
Absolutely.
This is from a new album. She wrote these songs with a dear friend who was battling breast cancer at the time. And the hope always was that this friend would record these songs. But she ended up having a lot of troubles with her voice. She's cancer free now. But she then asked Janet to please record the music we wrote. So that's what you're going to hear with this song.
I love when there's a story behind the song. You always have the great ones, Terry. All right. That's fantastic. Here is Janet Planet on Barman Friday night. What Greater Joy.
What greater joy is there than this? No greater joy, no greater bliss than to find someone who sees who you are. To have a moment that you share, a moment when there's care, one brief moment when the world feels right. It may not happen very much that you feel that human touch. When it happens, bring it into your heart. Be present, be open, be watching, be ready. Your prize will be greater joy. What greater joy is there than this? No greater joy, no greater bliss than to find someone who sees who you are. moment when there's care, one brief moment when the world feels right. It may not happen very much that you feel that human touch, but when it happens, bring it into your heart. Be present, be open, be watching, be ready. Your prize will be greater joy.
Yeah, that's definitely the jazzy Janet Planet. That's boy, that's great. She's got
Isn't
such
her
a good
voice?
voice.
Ah,
She's fantastic.
it really is, and she's teaching people of all ages how to sing jazz, and I can't even imagine. There really is an art to that kind of music.
Absolutely, and it's so natural for her. Like she's just
Oh,
effortlessly singing. It's just beautiful. Thank
yes.
you so much. Now, is she live in the lair tomorrow?
I should probably tell you, we are doing mini layers while Rocker is out. And for
Okay.
anyone who did not hear, Rocker is also in his own rock band, and at the end of a recent show, he passed out and had a heart attack.
Oh dear.
And yeah, and of course, everybody has been commenting, "Well, isn't that a rocker way to go?" Yeah, he's all right, but he's got a road ahead of him. He had to have 3 stents,
Oh
and he's gotta
man.
go through some physical therapy, and I think everybody was shocked because he's a thin guy, he looks like he's in shape.
Yeah.
We miss him, and we kind of said, "Let's take a break on the big layer," because
Okay.
he loves that so much. Let's do little layers. So that's what we're doing with, Janet Planet and then the other band as well.
Okay. Wow. I'll give my best to Rocker. I knew he had a heart attack, but I heard that he was on the road to recovery. I did not hear that story. Though. That is so.
Yeah, and how about this? He passes out on stage after their set is done.
That's a team player right there. I'll tell
That's
you.
a rock star.
That's an absolute rock star.
I know, and we can laugh now because we know he's gonna be
Yeah.
okay,
Oh,
so
he's such a good dude. I'm so glad to
yeah.
hear that. So let's do this. Why don't we hear about Isaiah and the new people, and then we can play the song when we come back from the break, Terry, and then I'll close the
Sure.
show with some texts that I have to read. But I would love
Okay.
to hear this song that well, both songs were great, but tell us
Yeah.
about Isaiah and the new people.
You know, they are a new band to me, but while digging in, which we do, to try and do
Yeah.
a decent interview, I found out that they, for a really long time, were called Salmon Run. And they were based out of the Fox Cities, primarily Green Bay, but they tour. They travel everywhere. They tour. They play with everybody. They took a bunch of time off to, what should we say, recombobulate the
I
band,
love it.
added, subtracted members. We've heard these kinds of stories. But in the end, this is brand new music from a brand new band, which does still include a few of the original members. But I think they looked at this as a chance to sort of start over. And so this new music is out. They're going to be backing it up by touring all around Wisconsin the rest of this month. They're going to
Okay.
Texas in February, and then they're back in March for Wisconsin as we start kind of going into some of those spring and summer festivals. That's the thing they really enjoy playing.
That's fantastic. All right, so we'll do that. We'll hear Isaiah and the new people when we come back. We're going to go with the song, Terry. Help me say this. Lahaina?
Lahaina.
Lahaina.
Yeah.
Beautiful song.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear that. And then, so we'll do a quick break. We'll come back and we'll hear Lahaina, and then we'll close the show with your text. That's how you do a Friday night. And you do it with Terry Barr. She's here for Bar Band Friday Night. We'll be right back with more Night Light with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
By the sky until the sky, leave the sky until the sky.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for Matt and Air on Air.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
The Todd Alba Show.
What's worse, fast drivers or slow drivers? Karina listening on WAUK in Milwaukee.
Slow drivers are the worst. They think too slow. They stop in the middle of the highway to think about where they're going. Maybe they need to turn left and right. They changing lines for oh my God, I can do all day long.
Karina, can you tell us what you really think?
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Mino and the Mayor.
He's negotiating with our paid sponsor here. No, that's
Sorry.
Right.
That is true. Sorry. I forgot you were a paid sponsor.
Kristen Ambos, Point Mortgage Corporation. How are you, Kristen?
I am good. How are you guys
Excellent.
doing?
Nice to see you.
I freaking love starting my mornings with you.
We love having you here. We really do.
Mino and the Mayor, weekday mornings 6 till 9 on 97.9 WGBW and 98.3 and 96.5 WISS and the Civic Media app.
That first time seeing my son, I feel like my life did a 180. He really a definition of like why he loves somebody.
Through all of fatherhood's first, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Fear you may be missing out? We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. Enjoy listening live or catch up by finding the podcast at
Monday night on Nite, one of Wisconsin's own, comedian Tom Clark will be here to talk about some of his dates coming up in Wisconsin, and film critic, Milwaukee-based film critic Matt Miller will join me to talk about award shows. Right now, we are in the middle of a swinging bar band Friday night with our friend Terry Barr, and so we've heard about Isaiah and the New People. So let's go to the song, Terry.
Okay.
Lahaina, right?
Yes.
All right, here is Lahaina, Isaiah and the New People. Great tune. Check it out.
in the crib. Another mother's daughter. Grasping to live. I've been around again. I've been around again. I've been around again. Be my baby. No, 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 no.
So that's Isaiah and the New People. I love this. I've never heard of this genre before, Terry. Western psychedelic funk or folk. Is it folk or funk?
Folk.
Yeah. How crazy is that? Western psychedelic folk. I love that.
I've never heard all of those words put together.
That's fantastic. That's so great. Thank you so much for bringing the
I
music as
love
always.
joining you and chatting it up with all the listeners too.
We totally appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, and we look forward to next week. Do we have another date? Another Friday night date with Terry Barr and Bar Band Friday night, right?
We have a date, sir.
All right, awesome. Have a great weekend, Terry. Thank you so much.
You too, and everyone listening, enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, Conrad. I think we have to go out after I read these texts. We got to go out on that song too. That's a great
Okay,
tune.
sounds good.
I love when I got to this. When we connected here, and I said, "Which song do you like better?" And you said, "Without a doubt, Lahaina." So that was a good choice. Thank you.
It was such a good song.
All right, let's get to some text here. Our question of the night was, what drives you more crazy, fast or slow drivers? And we got some good ones here. Jim from Kenosha. I got to go all the way back here. Jim from Kenosha says it would be inconsiderate drivers. And I love that he put Jim from K-Town. Tom from New Berlin says fast drivers, ones that blow by you on Highway 43, or fast drivers that are driving angry on Highway 43 because they're trying to go around everyone. I agree, Tom. I don't know what is happening on 43, but there have been crazy drivers probably over the last 5 years. I've noticed that. Kate from the 715 says fast. Jim tried to call us too when we were talking, probably to Meredith. Bridget from the 818 says fast drivers, they are dangerous. And when I'm a passenger, I get carsick. Slow down. Thank you, Bridget, very much. Jim also texted us, Conrad, when we were talking to Meredith. I don't know if you saw this. He said, give some love to the Kenosha Comedy Club. All right, Jim, we'll do that. Tell us more about the Kenosha Comedy Club, and let's get some comedians on here. Appreciate that, Jim. Paula says, slow drivers that go below the speed limit when you have to slam on the brakes if you can't change lanes. Conrad, is your mom a fast driver?
Actually, no. She always complains that my dad is a fast driver.
You think that was like a subtle hint to your dad right there?
He's a left foot.
Steve from the 920 says, I think it is worse for fast drivers weaving inside and out in lanes when driving on the interstate roads. Experienced an accident on Highway 75 in Florida today. By the way, Grandma Krieger is watching tonight on YouTube and likes grandson Conrad's new glasses and haircut. I could not agree more. Yeah. High and tight. That's a great cut. I'm looking a little shaggy. I got to get a haircut. Conrad, I need to get your haircut person.
Sounds good. It's about 2 minutes away from the studio.
All right. Steady Eddie closing things up here. Pete, slow drivers, bad. Fast drivers, even worse. Bob Uecker hit 12 career major league home runs and had a career batting average of 200. He hit one of those home runs off Sandy Koufax. I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. And Mr. Baseball worried that the fact would keep Koufax, one of the greatest pitchers, out of the Hall of Fame. Despite Ueck's booming home run, Koufax was somehow mercifully voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to Mike Clemens, Terry Barr, and Meredith Jamesko. Have a great weekend. Good night, Wisconsin.